In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, humans were seen as the weaklings of the galaxy. Every alien race looked down on them. They thought humans were too soft, too scared, and too weak to be of any use. The year was 2157. Humans had been part of the Galactic Alliance for just 50 years. In that time, they had tried hard to prove themselves. But no matter what they did, it wasn't enough. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of her ship, the Earthlight. She was a tall woman with short black hair and eyes that sparkled with determination. Sarah had worked hard to get where she was. She was one of the few humans to command a starship. As Sarah looked out at the stars, she thought about all the times aliens had laughed at her. They would say things like, "Oh, look at the little human trying to play captain." Or, "Don't worry, we'll protect you from the big, scary space monsters." It made her blood boil. She knew humans were just as good as any other race. They just needed a chance to show it. Suddenly, the ship's computer beeped. "Incoming message from Galactic Command," it said. Sarah took a deep breath. "Put it on screen," she ordered. The face that appeared was not human. It belonged to Admiral Zorg of the Zorgan Empire. The Zorgans were one of the oldest and most powerful races in the galaxy. They looked like giant lizards with blue scales and 4 eyes. "Captain Chen," Admiral Zorg said, his voice dripping with disdain. "I hope I'm not interrupting your nap time." Sarah gritted her teeth. "Not at all, Admiral. What can I do for you?" The Admiral's eyes narrowed. "We have a mission for you, human. It's probably too much for your kind to handle, but no one else is available." Sarah's heart raced. This was it, a chance to prove what humans could do. "We're ready for anything, sir," she said. Admiral Zorg laughed. It sounded like rocks in a blender. "We'll see about that. Your orders are being transmitted now. Try not to mess it up too badly." The screen went dark. Sarah turned to her crew. They were all humans, all eager to show what they could do. "All right, people," she said. "Let's see what we've got." As Sarah read the mission details, her eyes grew wide. This wasn't just any mission. It was possibly the most dangerous task ever given to a human crew. They were being sent to the heart of the Omega Nebula. It was a place where stars were born and died. The energy there was so intense that most ships couldn't even get close. Their job: to rescue a team of alien scientists whose ship had broken down right in the middle of it all. Sarah looked at her crew. She saw fear in their eyes, but also excitement. They knew this was their big chance. "Listen up," Sarah said. "I know what you're all thinking. This is crazy. It's too dangerous. We should say no." She paused, letting the words sink in. "But that's exactly why we have to do it. Everyone out there thinks we're cowards. They think we'll run at the first sign of trouble. Well, I say it's time we showed them what humans are really made of." A cheer went up from the crew. Sarah felt a surge of pride. These were her people. They might not be the strongest or the smartest in the galaxy, but they had heart. And sometimes that was all you needed. As the Earthlight prepared to leave dock, Sarah took one last look at Earth. It was a small blue marble hanging in the blackness of space, so fragile, yet so full of life and potential. "We won't let you down," she whispered. With a flash of its engines, the Earthlight shot into hyperspace. They were on their way to the Omega Nebula, to danger, to possible death, but also to a chance at glory, a chance to change how the galaxy saw humans forever. The adventure had begun, and Sarah Chen was ready for whatever the universe had in store. The Earthlight dropped out of hyperspace with a flash. Captain Sarah Chen and her crew found themselves facing the Omega Nebula. It was a sight that took their breath away. The nebula looked like a giant cloud of colorful gas. Reds, blues, and purples swirled together in a cosmic dance. But Sarah knew that behind this beautiful view lay extreme danger. "Status report," Sarah ordered, her voice calm despite the tension in the air. Lieutenant Mike Rodriguez, her second in command, spoke up. "All systems are green, Captain. But our sensors are going crazy. The energy readings from the nebula are off the charts. Sarah nodded. She had expected this. Any sign of the alien science team? Not yet, Mike replied. There's too much interference. We'll need to get closer. Sarah took a deep breath. This was it. The moment of truth. Take us in, nice and slow, she said. As the Earthlight moved deeper into the nebula, the ship began to shake. Alarms started to blare. Hull temperature rising, shouted Engineer Priya Patel from her station. The nebula's energy is heating us up faster than our cooling systems can handle. Sarah gripped her chair tightly. Divert all non-essential power to the shields and cooling systems, she ordered. The shaking lessened, but didn't stop completely. The crew worked frantically at their stations, fighting to keep the ship in one piece. Suddenly, a beep came from the communication console. "Captain," called out comms officer Jin Lee. "I'm picking up a distress signal. It's faint, but it's there." "Put it on speakers," Sarah commanded. A crackling voice filled the bridge. "This is Professor Tylock of the Galactic Science Academy. Our ship is dead in the water. Life support failing. If anyone can hear this, please help." Sarah's heart raced. They had found the alien scientists, but reaching them would be incredibly dangerous. "Can we get a fix on their location?" Sarah asked. Mike nodded grimly. "Yes, but, Captain, they're in the heart of the nebula. The energy there is even more intense. Our ship wasn't built to withstand that kind of punishment." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. Going deeper could mean death for all of them. Sarah stood up, looking at each member of her crew. "I know what you're all thinking," she said. "This mission is impossible. We should turn back now, while we still can." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But think about why we're here. The Galactic Alliance sent us because they thought we'd fail. They think humans are cowards who run from danger. Are we going to prove them right?" The crew looked at each other, uncertainty in their eyes. Sarah continued, her voice growing stronger. "I say no. We are not cowards. We are explorers, innovators, and when necessary, we are heroes. Those scientists need our help, and by God, we're going to give it to them." A cheer went up from the crew. Fear was replaced by determination in their eyes. "All right," Sarah said, a smile on her face. "Let's do this. Priya, I need every ounce of power you can give me. Jin, keep that signal locked. Mike, plot us a course right to the heart of this nebula." The crew sprang into action, their earlier doubts forgotten. As the Earthlight plunged deeper into the nebula, the ship groaned and creaked. The view outside the windows was now a blinding swirl of colors and energy. "Hull integrity down to 60%, Priya shouted over the noise. "Keep going," Sarah ordered. "We're almost there." Suddenly, through the swirling chaos, they saw it. A small ship, battered and dark, floating helplessly in the heart of the storm. "There they are," Mike exclaimed. "But Captain, how are we going to reach them? Our transporters won't work in this energy field." Sarah's mind raced. They had come too far to fail now. She needed a plan, and fast. As alarms blared and the ship shuddered around her, Sarah Chen prepared to make the most important decision of her life. The lives of her crew and the alien scientists hung in the balance. The impossible mission had just gotten even more impossible, but Sarah was determined to see it through, no matter the cost. Captain Sarah Chen stared at the alien ship floating helplessly in the heart of the Omega Nebula. Her mind raced, searching for a solution. The Earthlight shuddered around her, battered by the intense energy of the nebula. "Captain, we need to do something fast," Mike shouted. "Our hull integrity is dropping by the second." Sarah's eyes narrowed. She had an idea. It was crazy, dangerous, and probably impossible. In other words, it was perfect. "Priya, redirect all power to our forward shields," Sarah ordered. "Mike, bring us in close to the alien ship. As close as you can." The crew looked at her in shock. "Captain," Jin said hesitantly, "what are you planning?" Sarah's face was grim but determined. "We're going to use our ship as a shield. We'll extend our shields around their vessel and tow them out." A collective gasp went up from the crew. What Sarah was proposing was incredibly risky. If it worked, they'd save the aliens. If it failed, both ships would be destroyed. "It's crazy," Mike said, shaking his head. "But it just might work." Sarah nodded. "It has to work. We're their only hope." The Earthlight inched forward, fighting against the swirling energies of the nebula. As they got closer to the alien ship, the strain on their own vessel increased. "Hull integrity at 40%. Priya called out. "Shields are holding, but barely." "Steady as she goes," Sarah said, her knuckles white, as she gripped her chair. Finally, they were alongside the alien ship. It was smaller than the Earthlight, its hull scorched and battered. "Extending shields now," Mike reported. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a burst of energy that rocked both ships, the Earthlight's shields expanded to encompass the alien vessel. "We've got them," Jin exclaimed. "I'm picking up life signs. They're alive." A cheer went up from the crew, but Sarah knew they weren't out of danger yet. "All right, let's get out of here," she ordered. "Nice and easy, Mike. We don't want to lose them." The Earthlight began to move, slowly dragging the alien ship with it. Progress was agonizingly slow. Every meter felt like a kilometer. Suddenly, a violent tremor shook both ships. Alarms blared throughout the Earthlight. "What was that?" Sarah demanded. "Energy spike in the nebula," Priya shouted. "It's like the nebula doesn't want us to leave." Sarah gritted her teeth. "Well, too bad. We're leaving whether it likes it or not." Full power to engines. The Earthlight's engines roared to life, pushing against the nebula's grip. The ship groaned under the strain, but inch by inch, they moved forward. "Hull integrity at 20%, Priya reported. "We can't take much more of this." Sarah knew they were running out of time. She needed to do something, anything, to get them out faster. Then an idea struck her. It was risky. But at this point, what wasn't? "Jin, open a channel to the alien ship," Sarah ordered. "Channel open," Jin replied after a moment. "This is Captain Chen of the Earthlight," Sarah said. "We're here to rescue you, but we need your help. If you have any power left, now's the time to use it. Fire up your engines and push with us." For a long moment, there was no response. Sarah held her breath, hoping against hope that the aliens had heard her, that they had enough power left to help. Then suddenly, a flicker of light appeared on the alien ship. Its engines sputtered to life, weak but determined. "They're doing it," Mike exclaimed. "Their engines are pushing with ours." With the combined power of both ships, they began to move faster. The nebula's energy lashed at them, but they pushed on, fighting for every meter. "We're almost there," Priya shouted. "I can see clear space ahead." The crew watched with bated breath as the swirling colors of the nebula began to thin. Then, with a final burst of speed, both ships broke free. They were out. They had done the impossible. As the Earthlight and the alien ship floated in calm space, the crew of the human vessel let out a cheer that could probably be heard all the way back on Earth. Sarah Chen smiled, exhausted but triumphant. They had faced the impossible and won. And in doing so, they had taken the first step in changing the galaxy's perception of humanity. The journey wasn't over. In fact, it was just beginning. But Sarah knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, her crew was ready to face them. As the cheers on the Earthlight's bridge died down, Captain Sarah Chen knew their mission was far from over. They had rescued the alien scientists, but now they needed to get them to safety and find out what had brought them to this dangerous part of space. "Jin, open a channel to the alien ship," Sarah ordered. A moment later, a holographic image flickered to life on the bridge. It showed a tall, slender alien with silvery skin and large almond-shaped eyes. This was Professor Tylock. "Captain Chin," the alien said, his voice filled with gratitude. "On behalf of my team, I thank you for your bravery. We had given up hope of rescue." Sarah nodded respectfully. "We're glad we could help, Professor. But I have to ask, what were you doing in such a dangerous area?" Tylock's large eyes blinked slowly. "We were searching for something, Captain. Something that could change the fate of the galaxy." Before Sarah could ask for more details, alarms began blaring on both ships. "Energy spike detected," Mike shouted. "It's coming from the nebula." Sarah turned back to the hologram. "Professor, what's happening?" Tylock's face showed fear. "It's found us," he whispered. Suddenly, a massive tentacle of energy erupted from the nebula, reaching for both ships. Sarah had never seen anything like it. "Evasive maneuvers," she yelled. Mike's hands flew over the controls, and the Earthlight rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the energy tentacle. The alien ship wasn't as lucky. The tentacle wrapped around it, pulling it back towards the nebula. "No," Sarah shouted. She couldn't let their rescue be in vain. "Priya, full power to tractor beams. We're not losing them." The Earthlight's tractor beam shot out, latching onto the alien ship. Now it was a tug-of-war between the human ship and the mysterious force from the nebula. "Hull integrity dropping," Priya warned. "We can't keep this up for long." Sarah's mind raced. They needed a solution. Fast. "Professor," she called to the still active hologram. "What is that thing? How do we stop it?" Tylock's image flickered as his ship was pulled back and forth. It's a guardian," he managed to say. "Protecting the artifact." "What artifact?" Sarah demanded. "An ancient device," Tylock explained hurriedly. "Created by a long-lost civilization, it has the power to control the very fabric of space-time." Sarah's eyes widened. No wonder the professor's team had risked so much. Such a device could revolutionize space travel or become a terrifying weapon in the wrong hands. Another violent shake rocked both ships. The energy tentacle was pulling harder. "Captain," Mike said, his voice grim, "we have to let them go. If we don't, that thing will drag us both into the nebula." Sarah felt the weight of command pressing down on her. This was the moment she had trained for, the impossible choice every captain dreaded. She looked at her crew, seeing the fear and determination in their eyes. Then she looked at the hologram of Professor Tylock, silent now, waiting for her decision. In that moment, Sarah Chen made a choice that would echo across the galaxy. "No," she said firmly, "we're not letting them go. And we're not running away." She turned to her crew. "We're going after that artifact." A stunned silence fell over the bridge, broken only by the wail of alarms. "But Captain," Jin protested, "it's suicide." Sarah stood tall, her voice ringing with authority. "Maybe. But think about it. This device could change everything. If we let it fall into the wrong hands, who knows what could happen? This isn't just about us anymore. It's about the fate of the entire galaxy." She looked each crew member in the eye. "I won't order you to come with me. Anyone who wants to can take an escape pod. But I'm seeing this through to the end." For a long moment, no one moved. Then, one by one, her crew straightened at their stations. "We're with you, Captain," Mike said, speaking for all of them. Sarah felt a surge of pride. This was why humans deserved their place among the stars. Not because they were the strongest or the smartest, but because they never gave up. She turned back to the hologram. "Professor, we're coming to get you, and then we're going after that artifact. I hope you can tell us more about what we're facing." Tylock nodded, a look of respect in his alien eyes. "We will share all we know, Captain. And may the stars protect us all." As both ships were pulled inexorably back into the swirling chaos of the Omega Nebula, Sarah Chen prepared to face the greatest challenge of her life, the fate of two crews and perhaps the entire galaxy, now rested in her hands. As the Earthlight and the alien science vessel were pulled back into the chaotic heart of the Omega Nebula, Captain Sarah Chen's mind raced. She needed a plan, and fast. Professor Zylock, she called out to the flickering hologram. Tell us everything you know about this artifact and its guardian. We need to know what we're up against. The alien scientist's voice crackled through the communication system. The artifact is a sphere, about the size of a human fist. It's made of a material we've never seen before. As for the guardian. Psylocke paused, his large eyes blinking rapidly. It seems to be pure energy, capable of manipulating the nebula itself. Sarah nodded, her face set with determination. All right, we need to find a way to neutralize this guardian and retrieve the artifact. Any ideas? For a moment, the bridge was silent except for the creaking of the ship's hull as it fought against the pull of the energy tentacle. Then, Engineer Priya Patel spoke up. Captain, what if we use the nebula's energy against the guardian? We could modify our shields to absorb and redirect the energy. Mike Rodriguez, the second in command, jumped in. And if we can get close enough, we might be able to disrupt the guardian's energy pattern. Sarah felt a spark of hope. This was why she loved her human crew. Their ability to think creatively in impossible situations. Excellent ideas, she said. Priya, start modifying our shields. Mike, work with Jin to pinpoint the Guardian's energy signature. We're going to give this everything we've got. As her crew sprang into action, Sarah turned back to the hologram. Professor, we're going to need your help too. Can your ship's sensors help us locate the exact position of the artifact? Psylocke nodded. We will do our best, Captain. Our sensors are damaged, but we should be able to provide some assistance. The next few minutes were a flurry of activity. Priya worked furiously to reconfigure the shields, her fingers flying over the controls. Mike and Jin huddled over the sensor readings, trying to make sense of the chaotic energy patterns surrounding them. Suddenly, Jin called out, Captain, I think we found it. There's a concentrated energy source about 500 meters ahead. It has to be the Guardian and the artifact. Sarah leaned forward in her chair. Good work, Priya. Are the shields ready? Ready as they'll ever be, Captain, Priya replied, wiping sweat from her brow. Sarah took a deep breath. This was it. All right, everyone. This is our moment. Mike, take us in. Full power to the modified shields. The Earthlight surged forward, still towing the alien ship behind it. As they approached the energy source, the ship began to glow with an eerie light. The modified shields were absorbing the nebula's energy, just as Priya had planned. Suddenly, a massive form materialized in front of them. It looked like a giant, swirling vortex of pure energy. At its center, a small object glinted. The artifact. Guardian detected. Mike shouted. It's incredible. Sarah gritted her teeth. Stay focused. Priya, on my mark. Redirect all that absorbed energy right at the Guardian. Mike, be ready to grab that artifact the moment the Guardian is disrupted. The tension on the bridge was palpable as they drew closer and closer to the swirling energy being. Now, Sarah yelled. Priya slammed her hand down on the controls. A massive burst of energy shot out from the Earthlight, striking the Guardian head-on. The being writhed and pulsed, its form destabilizing. It's working, Jin exclaimed. The Guardian's energy pattern is breaking down. Sarah leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the glinting object at the center of the chaos. Mike, get ready. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed like they had failed. The Guardian's form began to stabilize again. But then, with a final push from the Earthlight's engines, they broke through. Tractor beam activated. Mike shouted, We've got the artifact. A cheer went up from the crew as a small, glowing sphere materialized on the bridge. The Guardian, its purpose fulfilled, began to dissipate back into the nebula. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. They had done it. Against all odds, this human crew had accomplished the impossible. As the Earthlight and the alien ship turned to leave the nebula, Sarah looked at the artifact now safely contained in a force field. This tiny object had the power to change the galaxy, and it was humanity who had retrieved it. "Well done, everyone," Sarah said, her voice filled with pride. "Let's go home." As they emerged from the Omega Nebula, Sarah knew that this was more than just a successful mission. It was a testament to the human spirit, to their courage, their ingenuity, and their unwavering determination in the face of impossible odds. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. As the Earthlight and the alien science vessel emerged from the Omega Nebula, a stunned silence fell over both crews. They had done it. They had faced the impossible and come out victorious. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, the artifact safely contained in a force field beside her. It pulsed with an otherworldly light, a testament to the incredible journey they had just undertaken. "Jin," Sarah said, breaking the silence, "open a channel to Galactic Command. I think it's time we reported in." Jin nodded, his fingers dancing over the console. "Channel open, Captain." The screen flickered to life, revealing the shocked face of Admiral Zorg. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly, as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Captain Chen," he sputtered. You're alive." Sarah couldn't help but smile. "Not only alive, Admiral, but mission accomplished. We've rescued Professor Kylok and his team." And she paused for effect. "We've retrieved an artifact of immense power from the heart of the Omega Nebula." The Admiral's jaw dropped. For once, the mighty Zorgan was speechless. I don't understand," he finally managed to say. "How did you?" "With all due respect, Admiral," Sarah replied, "perhaps it's time you and the rest of the galaxy started to understand what humans are truly capable of." As if on cue, Professor Kylok's hologram appeared next to Sarah. "Admiral," the alien scientist said, "I can confirm everything Captain Chen has said. My team and I owe our lives to the bravery and ingenuity of this human crew. They have accomplished what no other race dared to attempt." The news spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Within hours, every major civilization was buzzing with the story of the human crew who had braved the Omega Nebula and emerged with an artifact of unimaginable power. The Earthlight's journey back to Earth became a victory parade. Ships from dozens of alien races lined their path, flashing lights and broadcasting messages of congratulations. Sarah watched it all from the bridge, a mix of pride and humility washing over her. She turned to her crew, who were still at their stations, still professional despite their obvious excitement. "You should all be very proud," she said. "You've not only completed an impossible mission, but you've changed the way the entire galaxy sees humanity." Mike grinned. "All in a day's work, Captain." As they approached Earth, Sarah was surprised to see a massive fleet of ships in orbit. It seemed every race in the Galactic Alliance had sent representatives to greet them. "Captain," Jin called out, "we're receiving a transmission from everyone, it seems." Sarah nodded. "Put it on screen." The view screen lit up with a mosaic of faces from across the galaxy. In the center was Admiral Zorg, looking uncharacteristically humble. "Captain Chen," he began, "on behalf of the entire Galactic Alliance, I want to extend our deepest apologies and our most sincere congratulations. I was wrong about humans. You have proven yourselves to be not just worthy allies, but true heroes of the galaxy." Sarah felt a lump form in her throat. This was more than she had ever dreamed possible. "Thank you, Admiral," she replied. "But we didn't do this for glory or recognition. We did it because it was the right thing to do. That's what humanity is all about." A cheer went up from the assembled aliens, loud enough that Sarah could almost hear it through the vacuum of space. As the Earthlight began its final approach to Earth, Sarah looked at the artifact, still pulsing gently in its containment field. She knew that studying it would open up new frontiers of science and exploration. But more importantly, it had opened up the hearts and minds of the galaxy to the true potential of humanity. The ship touched down amidst a sea of cheering humans and aliens alike. As Sarah prepared to disembark with her crew, she realized that this wasn't just the end of a mission. It was the beginning of a new era for humanity among the stars. Gone were the days of being seen as cowards or weaklings. Humans had proven themselves to be innovative, brave, and capable of achieving the impossible. The galaxy would never be the same again. And it all started with one ship, one crew, and one captain who refused to give up. Sarah Chen smiled. The future had never looked brighter for humanity. The sky over Earth was ablaze with fireworks as the Earthlight touched down. Captain Sarah Chen and her crew stepped onto the landing pad, greeted by a roar of cheers from the massive crowd gathered to welcome them home. At the front of the welcoming committee stood the President of Earth, flanked by ambassadors from every major alien race in the Galactic Alliance. Their faces showed a mix of awe, respect, and newfound admiration for humanity. Sarah led her crew forward, the artifact safely contained in a special case carried by Mike. As they approached the dignitaries, Sarah could hardly believe how much had changed in such a short time. The president stepped forward, a broad smile on her face. "Captain Chen, on behalf of all humanity, welcome home. Your bravery and that of your crew has redefined what it means to be human in the eyes of the galaxy." Sarah nodded respectfully. "Thank you, Madam President. We're honored to have served Earth and the Alliance." As the formal greetings continued, Sarah noticed a familiar face in the crowd. Admiral Zorg. The Zorgan leader looked decidedly uncomfortable, shifting from one foot to another. Finally, he stepped forward. The crowd fell silent, curious to see what would happen. "Captain Chen," Zorg began, his voice uncharacteristically humble, "I owe you and all of humanity an apology. I was wrong about your species. You have shown courage, ingenuity, and compassion beyond anything I thought possible." Sarah was stunned. She had never expected to hear such words from the proudest race in the galaxy. "Thank you, Admiral," she replied. "We accept your apology, and we look forward to working alongside the Zorgans and all other races as true equals in the Alliance." A cheer went up from the crowd. It was a moment that would be remembered in history books for generations to come. As the ceremony continued, Sarah found her mind wandering to the future. The artifact they had retrieved held untold potential. Its study could revolutionize space travel, energy production, and countless other fields. But with great power came great responsibility. Sarah knew that humanity's next challenge would be to prove they could handle this power wisely. After the ceremony, Sarah and her crew were given some much-needed time off. As she walked through the streets of her hometown, Sarah was amazed at how differently people looked at her and at themselves. Children played Space Explorer in the parks, pretending to brave nebulas and rescue alien scientists. Billboards advertised new educational programs focused on interstellar studies. The whole world seemed energized by the possibilities that lay ahead. A week after their return, Sarah was called to a special meeting of the Galactic Alliance Council. As she entered the Grand Chamber, she was surprised to see not just the usual council members, but representatives from dozens of races that had previously shunned alliance with lesser species. The head of the council, a wise old being from a race known for their neutrality, spoke. "Captain Chen, your actions have sparked a change throughout the galaxy. Many races who once stood apart now seek to join our alliance, inspired by humanity's example." Sarah felt a surge of pride, not just for herself or her crew, but for all of humanity. "We're honored to have played a part in bringing the galaxy closer together," she said. As the meeting progressed, Sarah found herself being consulted on a wide range of issues. It seemed that the council now valued the human perspective, in a way they never had before. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Sarah knew that some races still viewed humans with suspicion, and there were those who feared the power of the artifact they had retrieved. As she left the council chamber, Sarah realized that this was just the beginning. Humanity had proven itself, Yes, but now they had to live up to their newfound status as galactic heroes. The challenges ahead were many. How would they use the knowledge gained from the artifact? How would they balance their new influence with their responsibilities to other races? And how would they maintain the spirit of exploration and bravery that had brought them this far? Sarah Chen smiled as she looked up at the stars. Whatever the future held, she knew one thing for certain. Humanity was ready to face it head-on. They had been called cowards once, but now they were heroes. And they would continue to surprise the galaxy for years to come. As she boarded her ship for her next mission, Sarah felt a sense of excitement and purpose. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers alike, and humanity was finally ready to take its place among the stars. The adventure, it seemed, was just beginning.